Hello everyone and welcome to Train Sim Live. Right, okay, so welcome to Train Sim World. So this evening I thought I would I'm going to try and outdo myself with cleverness tonight. So you can imagine, oops, wrong keyboard. You can imagine it's all going to go really well. So the first thing is there's a new patch come out today, and if you go under settings and just make sure that you're running build 100, that means that you're on the latest version. Yeah, just make sure you're on build 100. The release notes are on Steam. You can see what's been changed. Let me just call up the release notes just briefly. What have we got? Some localization issues for Polish, some keyboard fixes for German, Spanish and Norwegian, and you can now toggle motion blur on and off with Control F2. So if you so as long as you haven't forced it off in the ini file, so if you're one of those that have updated the ini file, then you'll have to take that out now, unless of course you never want the motion blur on at all, in which case you're fine. But Control F2 won't work if you forced it off in the ini file, because what you've said is there is nothing to turn on. So bearing that in mind, if you've got motion blur, you can Control F2 to toggle it on and off now in the game on the fly, so you can turn it on, take a screenshot, turn it off again. Gameplay. So there's a couple of issues with the station. One, station stopping tutorial didn't always catch when you're going 40 miles an hour. The scenario timing brief on the HUD outro screen now shows you whether you've done it right or not. It gives you the green ticks. It previously just gave you the times. It's actually supposed to give you green ticks and things, so you knew whether or not you actually were on time or not. And also the markers, the coloured markers on the track weren't appearing before in service mode. You'd seen them in scenarios, they now appear in service mode. Class 43, the train corridor connections, the big black things that were flying across the screen, that's gone. Graphical glitches with the train bogies. Some of you may have seen the train bogies zipping into place or wobbling around a lot. Should be fixed. And the hose pipes should not now be flashing around everywhere, which should also benefit CSX. Silverbird Actual! Yay, 8 months. Apparently I didn't lose my sub. Hey Matt, yay trains, yay stuff. Yay Twitch baby, on the way, yay everything. Thank you very much for your support, Silverbird Actual. What else have we got? So DSD audio alarms used to not be audible externally. They are now audible externally. The 166 had a tiny little grey box for some reason underneath it. That's now gone. The 66 also had the audio alarm exterior fixed. NPC characters, passengers now board on light trains a bit more cleanly than they did. Simon, can you turn off the visual stopping markers? Yes. Control 6, 7 or 8, one of the two, or one of those will turn that on off. I'll show you that when we do one. The AC4400 CW, there was those of you who are driving that would have noticed a massive performance issue. So when you press the external view, they're getting paused for about 3 or 4 seconds. That's all fixed and gone. So all the performance issues you've been experiencing on the AC4400 should now be resolved. I think there's a couple of other minor bits and pieces, but that's the crux of it. There is some improvement to AWS, TPWS. I'm going to be running tonight with it on. What I would say is, if you experience any issues with AWS, TPWS, slamming the brakes on or anything like that, please can you notify Dovetail with as much information as possible. Back to that in a second. Mr. Isildur, good evening, Mr. P. I nearly misread that. It said, good evening, Mr. P. Ooh, more railish trains. I thought that said, good evening, Mr. Pooh. Then I saw the exclamation mark. Okay, so good evening, Mr. P. Ooh, more realish trains. TSW Squirrel Hype. Absolutely. Thank you very much for your support, Isildur. 11th month. Much appreciated. I'm going to be Mr. Pooh from now on, aren't I? You lot are mean. You lot are terrible. Right. I see 400 is not fixed for you, Yana Dunk. Okay. That's interesting. Alright, that means that maybe what they thought was a problem wasn't. I'll have a look at that later on and see what I can report back to the team. Can you make sure you're on build 100, Yana Dunk, as well? As I said in the settings, just go into settings, make sure it says build 100 over there. Oh, that's good, Rob. At least you had some improvement there in that situation. Right, what else was I going to say? Yeah, so if you have any issues with AWS TPWS, what service were you running? What scenario were you running? How far into it were you? Where were you on the route? And if it was because you went over a signal, what was the signal ID that you went over? That would be ideal, because what it is, I think, is that there might... One of the ones that I've recently found, as you come out of Acton, if there's a red light at the starter for Acton, then you do get a TPWS train stop as you come into Acton, even though it's a yellow. So that's one I've found, but that's specific with that one signal. It's not a general problem. Okay, so we're going to start. So we're going to do something interesting tonight. Well, I hope it's interesting. We are starting in Reading. We're going to spawn on foot at 3 o'clock. Let's make it summer cloudy, put a bit of wind in. Reading, and we'll start at 3 o'clock. Oops, no. There we go. Clarkburn, yes, I do work at Dovetail, definitely. Right, so we need to get to platform 11 for our train. So my little thing tells me my train is due in about 5 minutes. Well, it's due to leave in about 5 minutes. So hopefully it'll be here shortly. So what we're doing is we're going to be in charge, take control of this HST from Reading to London, high speed, non-stop, service 1 Lima 62. That leaves here at 3:05 and is due in at 15:35. Then we have to take a passenger run on service 2 Golf 22 over to back to Acton station, so one station down the line. And that will be 15:42, arriving into Acton about 15:48. And then after that, we will need to take a short stroll through the yard until we get to the 66, which hopefully will be waiting for us. If not, it'll be there shortly after, which is to take on 4 Victor 38, 15:57 to 16:52 back to Reading. So should be interesting. Can someone post a link to the timetable for Volatus Sim and anybody else who wants it, please? Let's have a quick look at the map. Oh wait, look, there's the HST coming in at the moment. Went to the wrong end of the platform. That's my train. Let's run down and see if we can keep up with it. No, this isn't dragline English. This is actually service mode, and I'm making it off. I'm making it up. I spent about half an hour looking at various services and thinking, what sort of thing do I want to do? And I managed to find 3 that chain within a few minutes wait each time round. Oh, Shazan, that's an excellent idea. Can a moderator set up an exclamation mark timetable command? That's a fantastic idea. Are services ever delayed, Walrus? If you play them, they are. If the computer drives them, generally not. There's no sort of delay functionality in the game. Let's wait for that to change. I can't drive this service until this one until she releases it. Let's just wait. When the doors close, the driver will get out, and then I can take over. Presumably we're leaving the 4-speed rather than starting it off. Yeah, yes, Glenn, it's coming in. The freighter will be. I think the freighter comes in down this road here, and then comes and sits and waits down here. That's where the AI service ends. So then I've got to walk down the yard, and then pick up the 4. And then I don't know what the service ID of the one that comes in is. 4v38 is then the one that I take out. There we go. That driver's finished, so I can take over this train. This train starts in about 2 minutes, so I'll get our red light shortly. Let's meanwhile make sure we're all set up to go. That's okay. Let's put the AWS on. Good. There's no free MooBot slots at the moment, Francois. I can soon fix that. There you go. There's a couple more slots available now, Francois. Spider 1428, 7th month. Thank you very much for the support, Spider. I really appreciate it. There are no separate keys for AWS and DSD at the moment, Shazan. If you can just put a link to the timetable, Francois, that will do. Yes. So can you be a female driver? No, yes, you can. Yes, you can. When you create your profile, Anna on the Moon, if you select one of the female characters, then when you press 2 or press 3 and you go and look around the front, then it's your player profile character that sits in there. Freight services are in the timetable, yes. Oh, I've got to go. I haven't got time for all this dawdling. Never say never, Benjoy. There's only so much can go into one pack at a time. Do they have red hair? Can't remember. Not your red hair, though. No, Fab Diva. Yeah, 4 Victor 38 is the freight service. Yeah, that's the one I'm running at the moment. 1 Lima 62. Eastbound, high speed. Is it just your other train slightly muted? The volumes do seem a little bit on the quiet side in the game, yeah. It is something the audio team are looking into. Hey Scott, how are you? Thank you for the cheer. I'm good, thank you. Functionality of all the display boards to come. Nothing's been announced on that, other than I would like it to come at some point. Do the in-game speed signs on track actually correlate with what the game believes it to be? Can you drive without the HUD using the speed limit signs alone? You should be able to, yeah. And they should be all in all the right places as per the prototype. The only exception to that is there are some extra 25 mph speed limit signs just outside of Reading, and that's mostly because the AI needed some help to not come flying into the stations too fast. At some point when we improve the AI drivers, they'll come out, but it's as far as that, everything, all the speed limit signs, advanced warning indicators should all be there as per the prototype. Anything you find that's wrong, let Dovetail know. It won't be all evening, Tornado Ben. It'll be forever. Bendry, am I allowed to say if there'll be a TS 2018? I am not allowed to say anything about things which have not been announced by official controls. Oh, green. We're obviously caught up with catching up with something. Yorkshire Girl Gamer, thank you very much for the sub, Yorkshire Girl Gamer. Much appreciated. Oh, Spaceballs quote Fab Diva. Literally just watched Spaceballs before the stream. Got lights gone green again. The speed down a little bit. Is my luggage combination 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2? No, my luggage combination. I don't actually have a luggage combination, to be honest. I don't actually think I have any luggage at this point. Q Lightwing, it's route knowledge that tells you what your speed limits are, although you do get like a yellow post, which usually tells you in advance of a change. And if it's a substantial change, you'll also get an AWS as well. Cross-country service took the wrong road at Oxford, ended up on the Chiltern line. Whoops. That's a signalman who had a stern talking to, I imagine. GSMR. What is it you want? Now, people keep saying to me they want to implement GSMR, but given it's to talk to a signalman, without having multiplayer in there, what would be the benefit of GSMR? I'm interested to know what you're expecting it to do. Oh, I probably did, Moggy. I was only paying cursory attention to the movie. I got a new phone, so it's all about the new phone. But wasn't multiplayer planned? It is, but there isn't any multiplayer in there yet, so people are saying they want GSMR now. No, Q Lightwing, you're not expected to be able to drive without route knowledge in the UK. Volatus, in real life GSMR requires setup of entering head code and signal number you're positioned at. It does, but for what benefit? Other than pressing buttons for the sake of pressing buttons, what would you get for doing it versus not doing it? I mean, you could literally look down here and just smash some buttons and say, there you go, and have exactly the same benefit. The request signal of danger could be replaced by using the signal button. That's true. That's true. Let's try speeding up, see if we can catch up a bit more again. The feel of being a real train driver. True, I totally get what you're saying, but to make all of that interactive requires making the the shell of the train a lot more complicated or comprehensive and complicated, and that would suck down your frame rate. So it's a case of where is it valuable to spend frame rate? Because you can't just add interactive things without it costing frame rate. Don't get me wrong, I'm not arguing that I don't want to do it. I'm arguing because I want to understand how to make it right and it meet your expectations, essentially. I'm not saying we will do it, but I need to understand what people's expectations are. I'm not trying to sound argumentative and saying, but I don't want to do it. Hey, verbatim. Yeah, I'm aware of that sound glitch. I'm not really sure what happens with that. It's partly down to the fact that Unreal's audio engine isn't as good as we'd hope it would be, and shadows and such tiny script shouldn't take much of frame rate. It's not the script. It's the making these interactive means that you've got to add lots of extra hit points, and then Unreal's checking all of those. It's I don't understand the technology behind it, but it's adding another 30 interactive objects is, on a low-end machine, going to potentially hurt. Witchcraft. Pretty much involves witchcraft, yes, Moggy. Matty X, yes, this is build 100. Make sure you're running build 100, folks. Merseyrail would look pretty sweet, all the underground sections, yeah, definitely. Well, you say that's in UK, but there's a lot of people out there running the game on low-end machines, or low-end for the game anyway. I'm following another train at the moment, so I've been slowing down, running cautiously. I'm going to try and see if I can catch up with the yellows again. Time to accelerate to plaid. TJH, I'm not sure what I'm following. We found it again. Or is that not mine? Well, you're looking forward to the soon-to-be released Class 460. I look forward to all the new stuff that's coming out. How many hours do you think you have into driving GW since you start? Oh, I would hate to think B9bot. Thank you, Volatus. Service mode is something that I've wanted to see in a train sim for a long time, and it was. I'm really pleased with how it's turned out. As I hoped, Paddington has really sort of shown it up for, you know, what it can actually do. You feel like the Unreal Engine has lots of limitations already? Well, everything's got limitations, Shazam. We've already worked around a ton of limitations. Just making this route, we had to work around limitations. But that's fine, because we've got all the source code, so we can work our way around the limitations eventually. Why is the signal UI white? Because I've told it not to tell me the aspect of the next signal. The one I use for testing, see, when I log in for testing, I continually delete and recreate. I don't ever continue the same profile. So I have no idea, I don't have a track of how long that is. I thought that signal was attached to that bracket. That's my signal there. Route feels a bit linear. That's pretty much how the real one is, yeah. I like network routes personally, but they're a lot more work to do. Yeah, I am very cautious, Simon. Any chance of getting southeastern routes in TSW? Probably at some point. They had to stop modelling the station at some point, Rob, to be honest. Every time anyone looked at it, everyone, internally even, really knows, like, oh, why isn't that there? Oh, why isn't that there? Oh, why we haven't done there? Why couldn't we do? In this case, we could have spent months modelling Paddington. Months. Any chance of getting Danish routes in TSW? Maybe, Simon. Maybe. So with your experience going up and down, can you drive this route without the HUD? Not really, no, because I've not actually made the effort to learn the route. I've just been blasting up and down, looking at the HUD. I mean, at work I have the next aspect showing as well. Green light. Mentioning, like, you've seen loads of people not appreciating the work gone into this. They think it's fantastic. Yeah, it's a hit and miss. Some people will like it, some people won't, but that's just how it is. I'm seeing a lot of people generally like it. The game seems to be fine with it, Kulightwick. Not really, no, because what you'll find is that the game won't authorise you much further than the platform. You'll run into a red eventually, because until you make a stop. Yes, that was slow, shoddy. And unless you make the stop, the signalman won't authorise continued signals, so you'll get a little bit of signalling beyond the platform, and then you'll run into reds. So it will cause you a problem. Are normal players able to switch off the aspect? Yep. Under settings, if you scroll down, it's this next signal aspect setting. I've got that turned off. If you turn it off, then you just get a white marker, essentially. SimUK, absolutely loving it. Well done. Excellent. That's really good to hear. I'm glad you're enjoying it, SimUK. Scalp UK, is TSW World going to eventually replace Tier 17? In a way, future maybe, but there's certainly no immediate likelihood of that happening. The Christmas scenario allows you to stop with half the train off the platform. Yeah, Tier 17 does as well. As long as you've got one coach in the platform, it's a stop. Well, it's bought you a new PC. Everyone's nice. Some random delays on service mode would be awesome. I know in the original spec for service mode, I wanted it to allow for frozen points, broken signals, broken delayed trains where like doors aren't closing properly, which then would allow the system to reroute you potentially. But that'll come hopefully in a future update at some point in the distant future. HST, no, you've only got the 2 cabs on the HST. Sorry, the 2. There's no head out, but mostly because there really isn't a head out on the HST. Right. We seem to be back to following greens now. Double yellow, yellow, green patterns. I've not seen any of those, so if you see those, Lightwing, can you report them to support, how you managed to get it? I have seen other people reporting it, so I'm not denying, but... Flashing yellows are only provided with a diverging speed justifies it. Yeah, it's if it's below a certain point, isn't it? Oh, you meant as a passenger out of the window on the door? No. No, there isn't a way of doing that. Well, in theory, the dispatcher can cope with that, Simon. So that may come in the future. How many trains come with Great Western Express? 3 for Romero, the 166 DMU, the 43 high-speed train, and the 66 freight train. Yeah, I'd like to see functional mirrors as well, Shazam, but again, they're not important enough to cost lots of frame rate. So we've got to find... It's clearly possible, other games are doing it, but it's we've got to find a way of how we optimise the mirror so that it doesn't kill the frame rate. Our previous attempts at doing mirrors were horrific. Airport Junction. But if you can turn it off, then it's not essential, is it, Shazam? It's got to. If it's essential, it's got to work for everyone. Well, this is an MTU, Lightwing. MTUs don't have a satisfying roar. They basically neutered the soul of this train when they've changed them from Paxmans to MTUs. Paxmans are where the noise is at. No, AWS isn't essential. Not in a simulated arcade, a simulated game like this, Simon. This is a video game. You can ignore the safety systems if you wish. I agree, actually, for Romero. The sensation of speed is considerably better, isn't it? I think it's the motion blur that does it. By the way, Control F2, turn it off. Control F2, turn it on. When we go down to the wheels, you can more easily see it. So you can see you've got the lovely motion blur effects. And if I press Control F2, you can see they go away. So now you can toggle it at your heart's content. Have I seen some of the reskins on the forum? What forum is this, Benjory? Right, speed limit's dropping to 100. Yeah, agreed, Lightwing. I miss it when the motion blur wasn't there because I think it makes the whole image a lot more realistic. Except for those bloomin' wheels. A few people have managed to testing it. I saw someone, I think he did a Canadian National Jeep or SD. But all it does is swap over the loco you've got. It doesn't create a new loco. Yeah, Shazans, now you could turn it off. While you're looking around, and then turn it on when you're sitting stationary in a view like this. So you've got control over how you want the view to look now. I'm quite impressed they got as far as they did with that reskin though, to be honest, Ben. I mean, there's nothing in the game that makes any attempt to stop people doing reskins. Not from our part, but reskinning in Unreal is just not easy. A mouse sensitivity slider. Can you drop that in a request and a suggestion to Dovetail, please, Shazam? That's a good idea. Right, our 166 is leaving at 15:42, so we've still got 12 minutes. I'm going to haul up because I suspect that 166 or whatever it is where you're following before is probably navigating its way into Paddington now, and we're going to get stuck behind that. Oops. Oh, green light. North Pole Depot over on the right. Good, buddy. Don't like motion blur in the cab when you turn your head. It's not natural. Agreed. Unfortunately, motion blur is kind of an all or nothing at the moment, unless we figure out another way of changing the settings, which we haven't at the moment. 4072. How long is the route lengthwise? I think it's 30 something miles. Why is the depot called North Pole? I don't actually know what the origin of the name is. What system specs are you running, mind me? 35 miles. That sounds about right, SimUK. Oh, it was the name of a pub nearby. There you go. You said that yesterday, didn't you, Glenn? Walrus, is TSW at least really something you guys are going to keep updating? I'm not sure what the plans are at the moment, or at least I can't talk about plans for what's going on in the future, I'm afraid, Walrusy. That'll be announced in good time through the official channels. Does the service mode run 24 hours? It's one 24-hour day. It starts in the morning and then ends in the evening with all the trains going back to the depot. Coming into the 40 limit now. Q Lightwing, yes, there's a GP40-2 DLC coming soon. It was announced today. How do you mean it's a account? It sounds kind of weird. Do the in-game washers actually wash? No. And we'll get dropped to 25 shortly. You also need a button to activate the tiny button on the screen. It's easy, it's Control 8. You wonder why there's no electric train created in TSW? Can't do it all at once, that's all. Right, actually not that big a team on this. We can't do everything at once. Yeah, Control 8 cycles between off, semi-transparent and white. Or 0, 50% and 100% essentially. Steam Trains Unlimited, I'm sure Steam Trains will come. That's what I'm waiting for personally. This stuff is good, but I want Steam Trains. But I also want to make sure Steam Trains get done right and therefore get the right amount of time. You're longing for Steam, yeah, me too. Yeah, but an extension to the route is months of work. About 2 or 3 man years work. See you later, 5029. Take the master key out once we've locked the doors. Can't you release smaller sections of track quicker at a lower price? Not really, no, not because of the way that they're built. And let's say, for example, you're talking about the routes have to make sense, so otherwise where would you go from and to? So if you take Sandpatch Grade, if you want to extend it west from Rockwood, the next step is Connellsville, which is 65 miles away. The next step north from Rockwood is the Somerset, along the Somerset branch. I think is about the same to get to something sensible. Shorter services, not end to end. But where would they go from and to? You mean if you mean Sandpatch Grade Q Lightwing? That's the challenge. Where would it go from and to? Right. Let's pop the master key out of that. Should probably just pop those off as well. We'll let the AI take that over. I now need to get over to platform 11, which is here. Hey, there's my train. Oh, awesome. Join up Sandpatch at this route. I'm going to do this bit as a passenger. So this is leg 2. 2 Golf 2-2. Let's wait for people to get off. Window seat. And we're taking this just one stop to Acton. How do I know what trains will be at which station? Because I spent half an hour planning this journey before we did it. No, I didn't. It's my bad. I didn't put double 166s in services, Kulight Wing. I didn't even think about it until it was too late. So this service leaves in about 3 minutes. That gets us to Acton, and then hopefully we'll be in good time for our Class 66 freight. So the steps that I used to create this little sequence were, I used the timetable that you can get from the trainsimulator.com website, and I used and then once I'd figured out what services I wanted to chain, I then started each service to figure out what station it was going to be in. I'm going to stand up until I release that other service, just to make sure it gets released properly. How can you unpack a .pack file with Unreal Pack? Yes, you can. You'll have to figure out for yourself how you do it. I've seen a number of forums like Roex America of people are posting instructions on how to do it. It's pretty straightforward. Do the train's passengers increase, decrease each station? So each station has its own occupation curve, and the curves are vary during the day. So you can have stations which are busier during the rush hours, quieter during the non-rush hours, and each station has its own one. So a quiet station will have fewer passengers than a busier station, or an independently different curve compared to it. Does that reflect on the train? Yes, should do. As they first appear in the world, they might not, but once they're moving around the world, people will get off and on the train. They won't just magic onto the train. They will get on and off the train. Right, this one's about to get moving. Not sure why it hasn't released the other service yet. It'll soon release it when we step onto the 66 though. Oh, I know why it hasn't released it, because it hasn't started yet. There's nothing to release. Q-Light Wing, yeah, again, my bad. I'm supposed to have used unload instructions. Oh, Reading to depot, yeah. The last instruction I was supposed to have put in there was an unload all, and I didn't. I put a load unload, so it doesn't clear the trains. That's something that I need to get to, but I'm off work at the moment, so I can't fix that. Interesting. I'm going to go with bug. I don't even know what that is. Because I'm not driving this, it can't be this train. I turned it off on the 43. Oh, never mind. Are you awake? Oh, it's coming to something when you've got to do their job for them, isn't it? I will make a note of that. That's... So, didn't we just drive the train for you? Are there any more detailed tutorials plans? And eventually C and D. Remind me, C and D? I'm going to do some video tutorials on YouTube actually, covering all the AWS, DSD, TPWS, DRA, and all the HUD stuff and so forth. Sit in the second man seat, that's a good idea. Oh, I locked myself out. That was silly. Oh, cold and dark. Well, the simulations, as far as they go, are all covered in the initial tutorials. So that includes starting them up. Let's rip the fuse out. Acton should be up here shortly. Q Lightwing, so when AI trains are driving, they don't operate controls and things. It's not full physics simulation for AI trains, otherwise it murders the CPU. Originally, the implementation did work like that. It was good for one train. Volatus, yeah, I'm aware there's a request from people that they want to have a setting which defaults things like the cab light to off and the safety settings on by default. It's on my mental list up here. So AI trains are hacking. They pretty much literally are. They are just being moved along by the force, basically. It'd be great to have it fully animated and doing everything, but we're a little bit away from that yet. Scotsman 4072. Yes, we've got to 13,000. We're just over 13,000 now. That's brilliant. Thank you very much, everyone. That's probably a recorder, I think. Will you get on and press the DSD? Is that a video recorder? It looks like it might be. Oh, unless it's something else. I don't know. Right, this is where we get off. Front-facing CCTV. That's what I thought. It's the dash cam, basically. Right, running like a crazy man. Has the shed arrived yet? Doesn't look like it. Oh, interesting, SimUK. Have you raised that one with the dovetail support? Because that just sounds like a case hasn't been captured properly there. So this train arrives or departs Acton at 15:57, so it might not even be here yet. Yeah, the spikes are there in reality, and the platforms. They're like these sort of silicone rubber things. No, they're not made of metal. Right, let's get over here. Somewhere's about up here. A 66 should turn up shortly. Which means we're now hopefully on to 4v38. Are the fuel things usable? Yes, and you use them in the aggregates unloading scenario. Oh, I need to go a bit further down probably, yeah. See you later, Glenn Aggle. What happens if you get hit by a train? Nothing particularly spectacular. Let's step over here so we're away. Here he comes. Do I owe my safety jacket? Let's just assume we do, yeah? Because you can't see yourself, so... Yeah, there is no defined behaviour for what happens if you get hit by a train. Sometimes it'll get pushed into it, sometimes it'll push you along, sometimes it'll drive through you. The game's not about crashing or being driven over by trains, as much as people might like it to be. Yeah, it'd be nice to get station names on the 2D map. I'm trying to find a good way of doing it, because I thought it was too cluttered in Train Sim 1. Certainly in the yards. I've got some ideas. But yes, it's on my wish list. Do I get annoyed when people ask you what happens when you get run over by a train? No, it's a reasonable request. Maybe just a fade to black and rip. That's ideal. Unfortunately, so far, putting in all of our attempts to put in collision detection have had a massive impact on frame rate. So, once again, it's that frame rate thing. Because essentially what happens is that you're constantly checking collision for the player and everything around it to see if there's anything that it needs to detect. And it's not as easy as just if it's within a certain distance, because trains can be quite long. So here's our shed. It's coming. I can just about see it. So what's happening now? So we got into London at around 15:37. We then rode 2G22 as a passenger up to Acton, which is that station there. We're just waiting for our Class 66, which is rolling in at the moment, and then we'll be riding that back to Reading. Here comes me train. Instrument lights on, desk light, cab lights off, headlights are on. DSD on, AWS on. Is that on? I don't actually know whether that's on or not. Oh, it just says on is up. That is okay. Right, so this service is due to start 15:57, so we'll get a light shortly. Hey, no problem at all, CBK. I just want everyone to enjoy what we've created. And if I can help with that, then I will. The other facing the other way has the lights on. Oh, I'll soon turn that off. There you go. Oh, hello, brakes are off. What is that? Oh, that's DSD isolate. Sorry, I thought it was DSD enable. Double negative. Autumn colours on trees would be nice. That's already in there, Dan Paul. If you run a service in the autumn, then you'll see the autumn colours on the trees. There you go. Shazam, there is autumn clear and autumn cloudy now as well. They were added. I added those in this version. I added 5 new weather presets because not having an autumn clear bugged me. They're not in order though, so you may not find them. They're at the back end of the list. Ferramero, you graduated this past year from high school and got a brand new PC. Now you can find and play games like Train Sim World, American Truck Sim, Farming Sim, etc. that your previous laptop could barely play. Awesome. See you later, Engineer Mike. Well, I don't want to give all the secrets away, Baked Bean Kid. Just realised my instrument lights are off. Better. So this next signal, the one that comes up from here, if you're coming out of here, this is one of the signals that has a problem with the TPWS. So as you come out here, come down here. I love that alerts are external now. Awesome. And you come along here. Eventually you come up to this signal here, and if this signal here is yellow, then essentially what it is that the ordering of the TPWS stop grid and this are the wrong way round. So this, rather than referring to this signal, it refers to the red signal at the other end, so you get a TSS activation here. So if you come up on SN203 and it's single yellow, then you should do a brake demand override, which is that button here, to get through it until it's fixed. Yeah, the Cool Light Wing, I raised that one. I think that's actually the artists have fixed that. Not obviously in this build, but I think they've marked that one as fixed now, so that'll come hopefully soon. So up here you've got the TPWS things. The red one comes on if you've an isolated TPWS and AWS. The yellow one comes on if there is a... No, sorry, the yellow one is the isolation. The red one is if there is a brake demand. And the bottom one is a button which allows you to override it. So I think that's gone to double yellow, which means it won't cause an issue now. Changing the time while you're in the game is much harder, because then everything has to jump to all the right locations, and if you've affected the world, then where it jumps to might no longer make sense. So that's a lot harder to do, changing time. Cool Light Wing's the only one I'm aware of. That's why I say if anyone else finds any other issues, then report them. They're almost certainly specific signals if there are any. Obviously did it 8 years ago. Yeah, I know, but trains are a very different thing, Shazam. Buses are single entities that work on their own, so you can kind of get away with guessing where everything's going to be, and it'll be fine, whereas trains are large and take up large massive sections of track, and the signals all have to be brought up to date, so it is very, very different. Need a bus sim world. I'd love that. I'd love that, Stiz. Is there not a missing TPWS grid? No, that was actually two that were right next to each other. A TSS, a train stop sensor, has two that are right next to each other. An OSS, the overspeed sensor, has two that are a gap apart, and the distance between the gap is what determines the speed that you must go below. So the closer they are together, the slower you have to go over them. What's the max amounts of points you can get in any given scenario? There isn't really a max. Well, so far this has actually panned out quite nicely. We haven't had any major delays. We've caught everything, nothing's missed. What are points by you? Prizes? No. Have I got a fair knowledge on all three locos of GWE? I think so. Oh, okay. So you were doing the Bruce Forsyth Price is Right then, not Price is Right. Oh, what's the name of that game show with the cards? You flipped up or down, higher or lower. Play your cards right, that's what I was thinking of. Given the time it takes to slow this thing down, I'm going to... ease up. Yeah, I'd like to be able to jump around the route, Starman. That would be good. What I'd say is, if anyone's got suggestions of things they'd like to see, then fire them off to Dovetail, so that they get logged in get all the ideas into one place, essentially. Be interesting to see if this one trips. Shouldn't do, actually. No, all good. So if you get an AWS, TPWS or DSD trip, then what happens is the brake demand light comes on and the train will stop. You then have to wait for the brake demand light to go out, which takes 2 or 3 minutes. Once the brake demand light has gone out, then you can start looking at releasing the brakes and going. But in the case of the freight trains, it can take a little bit longer still before the wagons are all fully recharged, ready to release their brakes as well. But if you release the brakes and put it on notch 1, it'll go on its own. How do I know which track you need to be? So when you're on the main line, the dispatcher will direct you. You only need to worry about it in yards. So over here, for example, you've got junctions that you need to flip. Those junctions you need to work out. You'll need to work out where you need to go. But when you're on the main line, it's up to the dispatcher to make sure you're going the right way. Oh yes, Cameras Gaming, you could, every time you go over a ramp, a grid, you could sit there and just keep them smashing the train stop override button. It's not really what it's meant for, but yeah, you could do that. Get the speed back up a little bit. Figure there's not much point rushing. We're clearly behind a stopping service. Cameron's Gaming, I am heading west. He's on the fast lines. Yeah, I just saw the mouse cursor was in the way, Shazan. Slow old slog west, this one. Will it change to green as we go by it? Nope. Oh, it's the directions in case you're lost for pilots. Classic 26 Fanatic Will. Hi Matt, just want to take this opportunity to say you are awesome. Keep up the good work on TSW and the streams. Thank you very much indeed, Will. Really appreciate that. Thank you very much for the donation. Can I get some GGs for Classic 26 Fanatic Will, please? Well, it was back up to a double yellow, so we'll see what the next signal is. If you've only just joined, then note that the Control F2 now toggles the motion blur. Oh no, that's okay, that's yellow still. Green. Let's put a bit of speed on then. Yeah, I spent a bit of time on Middle Aged Gamers stream, Francois, chatting to him about various things, helping him out. He's quite enjoying to watch. Folks, go and give, if you haven't already given Mature, what was his name? Mature Age, the Middle Aged Gamer. If you haven't given him a follow, then go and slip him a follow. Can you drive a service train? This is my third service train this evening. Now you've installed UE4 and extracted the files, can you use it for anything? Well, that's for you and the community to figure out, Simon. I've not been able to achieve anything. Can the motion blur be removed for anything below a certain height? No, motion blur, unfortunately, is all or nothing, Simon. SimUK. I don't know what that beep was. Got another green light, so I'm going to speed up a little bit. Mature Gamer HD, you didn't play today, but there was a 1.2 gig update. Yeah, there was a patch. The AC4400 should be better. And there's a bunch of changes for the Great Western. There is an update. There you go, Simon's just posted the details of the update. Typical. We speed up a bit and we find another double yellow. It's still got a problem, has it, Kulightwing? Alright, in that case I will have another look myself. Service trains a passenger. Well, okay, you can drive all the trains in service, so HSTs, 166s and 66s, they're all drivable. Epic have described a way of solving the wheel problem. Essentially, what they do on one of their game demo type things they've got for Unreal is that what they do for the cars is the wheels never actually turn very quickly. So it looks so at slow speed it's running 1-to-1. When you get beyond a certain speed, it then only rotates the wheels very slowly at a maximum speed, which doesn't cause the artifacting. And then what they do is they replace the texturing and materials on the outside of the wheel so that it's all blurred and looks like it's running a lot faster. Yeah, that's what I thought. See you later, Mature Gamer. Speed up a little bit more. Yeah, well, PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds is Unreal Engine as well, from what I remember. Mature Game, what's my computer system? Specs should be down below under this thing. It's a Chill Blast system. It's an i7 6700K, 980 Ti graphics, SSD. Oh, another HST. Would it be possible to model the whole UK on a single map? I don't know. I'd kind of like to find out, but I'll come back in 35 years when I've done it. Can I tell you if there's any separate Locos trains as DLC Shroot D? So there's actually one being announced today. It's a GP40 with 2 freight cars as a pack coming for the CSX route. If you look over at train-simulator.com. Will all DLCs come to Steam automatically? How do you mean, mature gamer? Oh, come to Steam. They won't be added to your account automatically. DLCs are paid for, but they'll be on Steam as soon as they're released. Does the size of a route even affect performance in UE4? Not really, no. No, and one other change that we made is that in TS1 you have one great big track database for the entire route, and this you have a track database per tile essentially, and then it does sort of dynamically merges them on the fly as it runs. That's a very crude explanation, but that's basically as I understand it. The idea being that it then should scale. Oh, yes, definitely, mature gamer. Yeah, their Steam is where Dovetail publishes all their stuff. Put some more power on. We seem to have found greens again. How you taking, Fanatic? I'm good, thank you. Is the GP40-2 a new train for TS World? Yes, it is. In theory, Simon, I've not tested that, but in theory. Yes, in the UK, and that is essentially how the TS1 works as well. So TS1, you have the tile you're in, which is 2 kilometres square, or 1 kilometre square. Yes, 1 kilometre square. And then you have, I think it's the 8 tiles around you are loaded, and then that sort of pattern follows you along as you go. Francesco Pepe, as Great Western runs on a timetable, will you be able to add DLC locos in future, or is it impossible? Mature Gamer, thank you for the host, much appreciated. The key to that one is in the new feature that was added as part of Great Western Express, which went into CSX as well. So if you go onto CSX Heavy Haul and you select the SD40-2, you'll notice that it can do anything that both it can do or the GP38 can do. And the idea is that another loco comes in, it should figure out all the services that it's a suitable replacement for, and you can apply them. And then similarly, AI trains will also randomly apply those changes as well. Does the amount of scenery and detail eat up the FPS? The number of objects can eat up the FPS. It's the complexity of the objects that actually has more of an issue. I don't have any updates for you on that, Kuloping, but thank you for doing that. I'm getting green, so I'm going to... yeah, I'm running everything full ultra mature gaming. What are we getting? That's 60 frames per second. Hopefully Lex Hearthstone. Hopefully. Again, I always say that until something has been done, you can't say it's possible. GP40 is diesel electric, yes. The GP40 essentially is if you take a GP38, make it a little bit longer, and put everything from an SD40 inside it. So it's got the power of an SD40, it's got the weight of a GP38, and it's slightly longer, and it's a Bobo chassis. Chassis. So it's essentially a fast GP38. It's not got the weight of an SD40, so it hasn't got the pulling power of an SD40, but it has got the speed and performance of an SD40 essentially. I mean, internally it basically is an SD40. It's got the same engine as an SD40. We've driven 100 miles in 66. Should do. GP40. GPs are always Bobos, SDs are Cocos. So the GP40 is a Bobo. Paddington exit ramp can it be developed to allow players to exit to main menu? Oh, that's a neat idea, actually. Shazam, diesel hydraulic. The only diesel hydraulic in the game currently is the 166. The AC4400, the SD40 and the GP38 and the GP40 are all diesel electrics. Diesel hydraulics are pretty rare in America. I can only think of one. That was the Southern Pacific unit. Shaky, yes. So if you've added that text into the ini file, then Control F2 won't do anything. Special duty, I think, Cool Lightwing. Shaky, if you delete that text and then Control F2 will toggle it on and off. What you've done by putting the text in essentially is completely disabled motion blur, so Control F2 can't turn it on. I don't know when the sale offer for TS World ends, actually, Volvo Trucker. Does it not say on Steam? America doesn't... Yeah, okay, so they say BB or CC. Alright, fair enough. Any plans to make Great Western DLC go to Bristol? That's something for Dovetail. I can't talk about anything which hasn't been announced already. Mature Gamer, thank you so much for your help last time. Next route I did went downhill. You could control the speed like a boss. If I may suggest something to improve, it's a bit more help for people on how to actually drive. Yeah, and it's tricky to do actually, because a lot of it is about the, sort of the feel of it. But yeah, I totally get what you're saying. DDU429 UK, wait for the update. Get the update that's just come out today. Make sure you're running on build 100 and try it again. Rail 4 Bram, can you create your own scenario? Not yet, no. We're still following that yellow. They are a bit Mature Gamer. It's that would be another one. Coming downhill is going to be would be another tutorial. But tutorials, because of all the things they have to do, they're actually a simple tutorial is probably a much more complicated thing to do than an hour-long scenario. That's why it's where it is. Oh, I'm being diverted onto the fast line. That's an interesting twist. Let's just trim down the speed. Raw Pal, coffee or iron brew? Well, I had coffee earlier on. I've run out of iron brew. So it'll be a cup of tea in a minute. Can you mix and match routes and trains? No, you can't, because essentially you can only run the services or the scenarios and they define what stock is where. That's not to say that might be possible in the future, but certainly right now it's not. No, I'm holding up that HST. It still doesn't work. Can you raise that as a bug then with Dovetail D429 UK? Because it's in the release notes, so that's supposed to be working now. Is there a HUD or track layout in TSW? You've got the 9 view, so that you can see what's going on, the same as you can in the map. But there is nothing you'd call a traditional HUD. Have you already answered the question on why the update does turns motion blur off doesn't work for you? Because have you got the ini file in there? Have you made the ini file change to Twitch for Live? Because if you've made that ini file change, then you've turned motion blur off completely. So if you undo those 2 lines, get rid of them, then you'll be laughing. Any way to allow us to use controls on the 9 view? That's tricky. It's tricky. You can't in TS1 either. Frujo, you don't need the no motion blur change anymore, because it's now done in the game. So if you notice, I've got the motion blur on at the moment. Smacks head. If I press Control F2, it goes away. Right, let's think about this red light I'm coming up on. Or is that not a red light for me? No, I've got yellow. But yeah, if you've got the no motion blur settings in, you do need to remove them now. Edit the engine ini and remove those 2 extra lines that you added. Restart the game and you should be good. Back on double yellow green. Put some more power on. Yeah, the shed's got train length. That one. So if I hit it there. Rubku, thank you for the host, Rubku. Welcome to Rubku's viewers. There you go. That was the beep beep for the train length thing. So the back of the train just left the end of the platform. There you go. See? Still got 16 miles to go. I'm not sure what that would be then, Twitch for Life, if that's not working. If all else fails, if you go into pause here, look at your keyboard layout code and send that to Dovetail and say, why is Control F2 not working for me? And it may be down to some weirdism with a particular keyboard layout code. PBASK, no, Train Sim mode is 64-bit only. We'd be adding crossing traffic. Do you mean like grade crossings with cars going over them, Frujo? If so, then yes, I would like to add that. But I want to add a proper road system. I want cars doing cool things. Thank you very much, Mature Gamer HD. Really appreciate it. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'll make sure that your thoughts get to the team. Donuts in Asda car park. No, it's not supposed to be simulating Moggy's life. You see Moggy walking around there throwing Krispy Kremes everywhere. Do the goods passenger brake beam buttons work? No, they don't. You watched the clip I did another Nebworth, Gav. Nice. You'd think so, wouldn't you, Shazam? You'd think so. You would absolutely hope so, but that's not how it works at all. There's virtual key codes for like all the main letter codes, but the minute you get into semicolon, apostrophe, hash, the square brackets, it all goes to hell in a handbasket, to be honest. It's mostly those keys over on the right that cause the problem. The letter codes don't cause any issue at all. It's the keys over on the right cause all the issue. Ferramero, will do a vid on the new Rosa line. I have already streamed it once, but yes, I will be doing more. Matty, well, it's been behaving itself for the most part tonight, pretty well. I'm coming doing 40 and the speed is 60 because I'm following something and paranoid. But I should be speeding up now. I've been following greens for ages. Someone explain TPWS. Okay, let me find a grid. Oh, typical. So TPWS is done with grids. Where'd that signal go? There it is. Let me just concentrate on this. Someone else can explain it. It's about grids, basically. So AWS triggers, does it do the same as if TPWS triggers, or are they different in symptoms? No, they both result in the train stopping. Mature Gamer, thank you very, very much indeed for the bits. Much appreciated. Let's get some brakes on. Better. See you later, Mature Gamer. Much appreciated, mate. Well, that signal's got splendid visibility, hasn't it? Right there behind the bushes. Ah! Looks like we're back up to double yellow, though. Let's put it up to 25, then. No, I don't care if I'm holding up the timetable. I'm not sure about the answers to that one, Cameron's Gaming. Renadrunk, how's the cold? It's... I don't know, it seems to be a morning cold and an occasional just to annoy me cold. Because it's not here at the moment, but I've had a handkerchief with me all day, sniffing and blowing my nose, so... Almost like an allergy of some sort. It's an allergy to relaxation, I think. Maidenhead Bridge, is this? Thanks for the cheer, Fermero. Alright, getting swung back over. Hey, Dark Gaming 01. Well, that's just, what's my background? So, my first entry into train simulation is I set up and ran a website called UK Train Sim, which I did for about 10 or 11 years, if not more. I can't remember. It might be more than that, actually. I mean, I still own UK Train Sim, but my dad runs it. And I then moved to work for Dovetail Games, or railsimulator.com as they were then. Probably don't need to be going this slow. I've worked on some commercial add-ons for MSTS. Worked on a number of different projects. Blue Arrow, if you remember Blue Arrow's Seven Valley Railway, I did all the scenarios on that and train setups. Pretty much dates back to 2001, really, when I started getting involved with Train Sim. I've no idea what the next signal is, so I'm going to assume it's red still. Oh, we're green. No, the stream's been running 3 years. Hey, Silverbird Actual, I'm good, thank you. And Roundhouse, yeah, my Deltic's on the front cover of Roundhouse, much to my shame these days. It's always the way. Work that looked so amazing back then, you look at it now and cringe. What do you mean, ahem, Moggy? Oh, you were on Moggy there as well, weren't you, Moggy? As was Ian, Ian Morgan. Chris Longhurst was on there. There's sort of all the early developers threw stuff onto Roundhouse. It was a real total hodgepodge collection, to be honest. But it was all there was, so it was pretty much the first commercial payware add-on for Train Sim, from Microsoft Train Sim. "11 miles to Reading, back on greens." Let's get it up to speed limit. What's the speed limit for a 4? Is that 75? I think 6 is a limited to 60, aren't they? Since you're new to Twitch, what happens when someone cheers? So when you cheer, what happens is the streamer receives 1 cent for every cheer. So a cheer 5 is 5 cents. It's like a donation. And you can buy cheers to give out. And so that's cheers. Subscription is paid. Unless you've got Amazon Prime, in which case, or Twitch Prime, in which case you get one sub each month for free. I'm running with motion blur on, Fruit J. I like motion blur. Baked Bean Kid! Here, have a whole $1. Thank you, Baked Bean Kid. Much appreciated. I like motion blur, so I have it switched on. But it's if I want to take a screenshot like that, then I would press Control F2 and take the screenshot because it clears up the wheels. Put it back on again then for running it. Hey, Elton Loveridge. Let's push it up to 60 at least. Oh, we're into under 10 miles now, 8.8. Ferramero, I think cheers have to be 10 or more to pop up like that. And if you want to have a message pop up on the screen as well, you do sort of cheer 10 space hello, this is a message, and then the message you type appears on the stream as well. Fruit J, you're wondering what strain it puts on streaming? None at all. None at all. Isn't the white dot on the right hand side meant to be the colour of the signal? Yes, I've turned it off, so I'm not seeing the aspect of the signal. It's in the settings. You can turn off whether or not you see the next signal aspect. See you later, Ferramero. See you later, SMUK. Good to have you with us. We're getting green lights now, so we've got past whatever the problem was. Famous last words, touch wood. Do I get discounts on the products? I get them all for free, P-Bask. Given I'm involved in making a number of them as well. .6 miles. So tomorrow is flight sim after trains, and I've got the Piper Arrow to run. So I thought we'd have a look at the Just Flight Sim World Piper Arrow. And I'm going to double check and make sure it works okay, but there's also the new approaches pack, the mission pack for Flight Sim World, so I thought maybe we'd take a look at that as well. Hey Northern Alex, how are you? Rail driver doesn't work yet with TSW, I'm afraid. You know, we're not actually running that far behind the expected schedule. We're due into Reading in about 4 minutes, I think it is, 3 or 4 minutes, which we're going to be late for, but not horrendously late, only a minute or two. Yeah, I'm doing well actually, Northern Alex. Being off work is good. Is it possible to exit HSD once doors have been locked? Once a train is moving, you can no longer open doors. If you are a passenger and the train has not started moving, you can always open the doors. Otherwise, we found people getting stuck on trains or couldn't get on trains. Or Fab Diva, you can dance if you want to. You can leave your friends behind because your friends don't dance, and if they don't dance, then they're no friends of mine. Awesome. Thank you very much, Fab Diva. 8th month. Much appreciated. Would the flight sim be multiplayer? It could be. If people are interested in joining in. Right, got a yellow coming up. Let's get some brakes on. Nervous about that. The fact that was a single yellow. Baked Bean Kid, can you ask what rail driver doesn't work? I mean, you probably extolled and sold more rail drivers to this tune than anyone else. Is there a technical licensing problem? It's not so much a problem, it's just a lack of time. And there's also a level of complexity involved in that. My biggest fear with implementing Raildriver is it ends up the way it currently is in TS1, where it doesn't work on randomly unpredictable trains. Or you have to make a train a specific way to make it compatible with the Raildriver. And I think if I want to do, if I want Raildriver in there, I kind of want to know that someone who's using Raildriver can just expect it to work. And thinking about all the possible systems, that control systems that people will want on trains, because I also don't want to hold the implementation of locos back because of what Raildriver might need or what an Xbox controller might need. So it's making sure we get the right balance. So it's a big problem that needs careful thought that then probably won't take massive long time to implement. And at the moment I've just not had time to do that. I've got ideas. I need to kind of walk them through. Back on greens now. Three and a half miles to Reading. Sega Coco, you want to see the train from the outside? There you go. There's no news on the multiplayer yet, I'm afraid. Is it possible to undock doors without a tab menu? No, because the HSD doesn't have controls in the cab. Still throws you off to see the Deutsche Bahn logo on an English engine. That's because this is DB Schenker actually are an English company as well. There used to be EWS, the Deutsche Bahn Cargo, or DB bought EWS Trains company. So all the EWS trains were renamed DB Schenker, and now they've lost the Schenker bit and they're just called DB. That's a speed reduction warning, I think, because we've got a green light. Conductors are, yeah, the guard or train manager opens the doors on the rear one, that's correct, crew Lightwing. Hey, you're more than welcome, Northern Alex. You're more than welcome. Alright, we've got yellow lights coming up. I think it's because we're heading for the end of the line now at 1.6. Hey, JJ So. It is a good route, isn't it? So JJ So, I started this at 3 o'clock, 2 hours ago, driving the HST from Reading to London. I then got off the train, walked around to platform 11 and got a 166 to Acton. Got off the 166, walked over the bridge, walked over into the yard and took this one, wait for this 166, this Class 66 to arrive, and then picked up the Class 66 and have been driving it since then. It's been very cool. One mile for Reading. Signal yellow, that's our final signal home into Reading. Coldest livery's nice. I like it shaky. It's different. It's sort of the way the angles up and down. The last few hundred yards of this journey, I tell you what, I've thoroughly enjoyed that last couple of hours. Part of me wants to wait for the next train and get on another one. 166 back to London would do it, I think. But no, we have Train Sim 2017 stuff to look at next. JJ, so how's the update looking? Good, very good. The only thing that people need to bear in mind, I mentioned it a couple of times, but for anybody that hasn't heard it yet, if you applied the INI file patch to disable the motion blur, in order for the new Control F2 button to work, you need to get rid of that functionality, although those two lines in the INI file. Otherwise, you're forcing the motion blur off completely, and you can't therefore toggle it on. Approaching a red. Drop the train below the overspeed. Oh, and it just went on. Yep, we've got a train brake override just appeared. Well, in that case, let's just show you what happens with that. So the train stops just tripped me. We'll let it finish that. So what happens is you wait for that timer to go out. There's no point trying to release the brakes until that demand goes out. Once that's gone out, then you can release the brakes. Takes about 2 or 3 minutes. The data cord doesn't do anything. I don't know off the top of my head what that does. Control F2 is motion blur toggle. Should that be flashing? I don't know, Ed. Should that be flashing? There you go. Lights off. So now it'll let you release the brakes. But since this service is actually finished, it wants me to get off the train. Ah, no, it's running away with the doors open. Crazy fool. There you go. Shut your door for you. It still thinks I've got control of the train. Oops. Hey there, K-Mac. Oh, we've got an HST coming in over there. Let's just watch that and then we'll finish. Fred! Oh, that's just annoying now. Q Lightwing, the cup wagons are normally in sets. Oh, here we go, it's going crazy now. Buckeyes and screw links. So you normally find it's Buckeyes inside a set and then screw links at the end of sets. Can I show any in-game collectibles? There's one. Where are the collectibles? I don't know why the frame rate is tanking at the moment. Over. I think it's at platform 14. As you come down the stairs and walk down here. There it is. That's one of the collectibles, that map. So as you walk up to it, it places the map on the wall. But there you go, folks. That's our session with Train Sim World. I hope you enjoyed that. I certainly enjoyed that. Let me know if you want me to come up with some more of those little sequences and sorts of things you'd like to find. And if you find a sequence if you find a sequence in the timetable, then let me know it, and I can try driving that. It's almost a very simplistic way of making scenarios, isn't it? Right. Okay. That'll do for that, I think. So. I think that might have just popped into existence, Fab Diva. I need to double check it. I'm going to watch the video back later on. Very bizarre. I'm not sure how that would even work. Okay, I'm going to put it on the pause screen for a minute because I need to go pay a visit, and then we'll get on. We've got a couple of Train Sim 2017 things to play. So back in a minute, folks. Oh, in fact, Why don't I just leave you so you can have a chat with Chair? I know how much you like chatting with Chair.